How would I go about playing competitive Fortnite if I were to start completely over all the way from scratch? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how I would kind of do that. We're going to break down different elements of competitive, and in the background is me and Jiven playing in the duo cash cup. These are our best moments, but this first game in particular, this might have been one of the best games we've ever played together. Don't forget, use code KenBeans, check out the merch link down below. Let's get into these tips, shall we? So there's different areas of competitive, and players who are really talented, they're able to perform in all the different types of game modes, so solos, duos, and trios. But if you don't know, all the experience that you're gonna get is gonna stem from solos. If you're a god tier solo player, you'll be able to find a duo and a trio better. You'll be able to have way more awareness of what to actually do in certain situations rather than just having your duo carry you to an end game. So what you want to do when you start out from scratch is to be the best solo player you can possibly be going into competitive. This makes things like grinding different areas of the game like creative and arena. It makes it a whole lot easier when you think that you have to become a god solo player. Not only is this facts, you learn how to get better zone awareness in solos, because literally everything that messes up, it's completely all your fault. So it makes you way more motivated to play competitive because of that. One of the things I kind of wish I knew and understand, like looking back on competitive in a broader standpoint, your mechs are definitely one of the most important areas of the game, but you cannot spend all your time just grinding out mechanics left and right. One of the best things any competitive player that's definitely starting out, it's all about the experience you can get by playing every single cup you possibly can. Back in the day, this is the biggest area of the game that I completely regret. There was times in the game, especially when the prize pools were way bigger back then, I decided not to play because I didn't want to be a competitive player. I almost feel like a lot of people start out saying, oh, I might not be that competitive with it, I just want to get really good. But I'm sure some of you guys can relate that once you get to a certain point on the game and you're starting to feel like you're really confident, that you want to start playing comp just a little bit, maybe experiment, see what it's about. That's where it kind of got addicting for me. Also, I will say that I know a lot of pros are leaving comp at the moment, and if you don't know, I just informed you. Benji Fishy just recently left, and although it may seem like the game is dying down a little bit in competitive, I'm gonna be honest here, this might not be a popular opinion, but that gives me a ton more confidence to get better at the game because the level of competition is decreasing. So if you wanted to get into a competitive stance or a competitive area in Fortnite, you wanted to improve, now is definitely the time, because people aren't really practicing as hard as they used to. Yeah. I have a flap. I'm gonna take. I have three flaps, yo. 3 flaps.
All right, I have 1 splash.
Okay, give it to me. Give it to me.
All right. I don't think it's gonna come down to that. Nope. It's dropping.
Okay, I have so much mess. Okay.
Pop mini.
Dead on 1.
120. On my body. He's in zone. Right here.
Let's go!
Let's go!
We're crazy! Let's go!
Good stuff, Ken.
To sum up, being a god tier solo player is something that I wish someone told me right from the start. When I first started out on Fortnite playing, I would always be playing duos and team modes because I didn't feel too confident in solos, and I thought that I would eventually build that confidence up. I was never able to build that confidence up until I really grinded out solos and just improved my mentality that way. The best advice for starting out right now, I will say that every single pro didn't really have this luxury, but creative made competitive end games so much more easier to understand. Back in the day, the only way to get experience was to just straight up play scrims all day. Now it's a little bit different. You can go into creative, and an entire end game with moving zones, randomized loot, and rotations is all there right for you. It's just a matter of how much you play it. I would say when you're starting out, the hardest part about competitive is learning the end game, trying to find that right layer, how to push people off your layer, how to get refreshes, all those things that come along in the moment and that you're probably even watching right now in this gameplay. That's why as a beginner, the best thing to learn is that end game sort of feel. It also makes it more addicting because you understand what it's like to win in one of those, what it takes to win. The whole purpose of this video is to kind of get you to understand what I tried to learn at the beginning, the mistakes that I made along the way, and what I still struggle with right now. I've been playing the game since it came out at the very beginning. I definitely do have thousands of hours of experience in competitive, and one of the biggest areas that I struggle in even to this day is just simply making it to the end games. The only ways you're really going to qualify in today's meta playing in competitive is by playing the most consistent Fortnite out of whatever how many games there are in that specific tournament. Like in these duo cash cups, the people that qual, the average one has a minimum of at least 7 good games. So that means they made endgame 7 out of the 10 times. The more consistent you get at that, the less stress you're gonna have going into Fortnite competitive because you're really confident on making it to the end game. So the more and more you fail at that, the better it's gonna be in the long run. That's something I wish I knew when I started. If you have a decent amount of experience right now on Fortnite in competitive endgame situations, most players that aren't qualifying to finals in these events, it's not because they're bad at end games, it's because they're bad at getting to the end games. More recently in the past year, I would say that I had a heavy focus on trying to learn the specific things I do once I land at the spot I'm going to. So in general, you're studying the map, you're learning the best ways to rotate, you're learning all the places to farm and get rejuiced up with heals and all this stuff. Simply writing down these things or watching other videos to see how other pros do it, you really start to learn all the little tips and tricks that pros use to get to the end game. Now, there's definitely millions of them. I'm still struggling at it to this day, but starting over, that's a strong focus that you should be working towards. How you go about getting to the end game. Are you taking mid game fights? Are you finding yourself sandwiched in certain spots where you shouldn't be? Maybe you're getting third, fourth, fifth partied all the time. If there was one single thing that I wish someone has handed to me on a silver platter when I started playing Fortnite competitive seriously again, is when I got the chance to interview a couple pros and ask them specific questions. Understand the structure. I have 2 videos exactly like that where I talked to Liquid Scope and I talked to my boy Owl FN. They've been playing comp and competitive for a very long time. They're heavily connected into the pro scene. Both of those videos are going to be linked down below, and we talk about different areas of the game and the small little things that really no pro talks about. Along with this video, those 2 videos that if you click on them and watch them, you really understand how pros think about the game in terms of competitive, and I bet you that it's probably a lot different than what you normally think about. For example, one of the things that Owl talked about, and this was crucial for me to understand how far pros actually take it. Some of them back in the day, I'm not sure about now, but would literally write down notes about the map and about where to go and what to do in certain situations so they can quickly remember the game plan and get back in the game. Writing down certain things that you struggle with or writing down things that you're really good at teach you specific areas of the game that you need to improve on when it comes to competitive. Also, I will say that one thing that I did so much back in the day, I used to 1v1 the same player almost all the freaking time. That's possibly the worst thing you can do on the game. Even if you 1v1 Booga every single day, every single player has different play styles, and when you're going up against different pros where you've never seen them do something before, this is where it starts to get really challenging. So if you're looking to get better at the game in terms of competitive, you're obviously going to need to have good fighting skills. You need to try to 1v1 really cracked players, but not the same person all the time. You could do this by going in the random discords that you probably heard millions of YouTubers talk about. Different scrim servers have looking for player sections, blah 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 blah. Literally just type on Google Fortnite scrim servers, go to the first link and just find something from there. Depending on your region, it's a little bit more difficult, but I know there's Manu scrims, Vital scrims, East Open Discord's still around, or even going into random streamers Twitch chats and finding cracked players from there to 1v1. Competitive Fortnite in a nutshell is kind of like a rat race. The people who are ahead of you, it's gonna take time to catch up to them. But like I said in the beginning of the video, there's different times throughout the game where some pros aren't really grinding as much on their mechs and they're not really practicing certain things. They kind of just played so much, they have so much experience that at some point or another, it just feels like RNG when you lose games. But these are good times for ordinary people just coming to the game. This is how you catch up to them, by just keep grinding and grinding every day. It's kind of a long run rather than a short run. I will say that every time you wait to learn something or wait to do something when it comes to competitive, the average player now is absolutely insane, and the average player a few years ago was definitely way worse. So the earlier you get in, the better. I would say that me and Jiven are roughly at the same skill level, and when he qualified to a finals, that really gave me the most confidence ever to think that it's actually possible for someone like me to make earnings, make finals, whatever it is. I will say, to give you a little bit of motivation, that it's not as far as a reach as you actually think it is. And even though some of you might not have a PC or whatever, they're introducing console cash cups that have probably been out by now and some have been played already, and they run at the same time of the normal cash cups. So as a PC player, I'd rather play the ones on PC, and obviously that makes room for the console players to actually have a fair fight on console. Unless you're playing on something with literally below 30 FPS, I would say that it's still possible to make money even on console or PC. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy though, but it's possible if you put your mind to it. Especially in duos, Jiven and I, he's my teammate, we've been improving a lot in duos, and the fact that we've been able to make finals around 3 times so far, we constantly keep improving, and we're always trying to pick out the positive things to keep that motivation alive for us so we can actually get somewhere. I'm going to enjoy this unsweetened tea for the rest of my night. Check out more Beans' second channel, link down below, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
I have no mats, no mats,
Here,
no mats.
split. I split.
All right.
I have 60 wood. 60 wood. Watch your bottoms. Watch your bottoms.
Yep. You gotta get.
Go on left side. Go on left side.
Left. Holding. No, ow, ow, ow. Wow, nicely played.